Hey out there on Facebook and YouTube. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us today with Piano Tech Radio Hour. We're going to have a wonderful guest for the day named Josh Wright. I'm going to intro the show here momentarily. Hey there. We're just letting some people in from Zoom as well. Hello to the live Zoom audience. Good to see you guys here again. I'll make sure myself is spotlighted. I'll also spotlight our guest, Josh. And we will get started momentarily here. It is Piano Tech Radio Hour. If you're out there on the social medias, just finding us for the first time, we'll give an intro here, but we'll also be adding some links to the chat out on Facebook and YouTube, and you can click on those and join us here in the Zoom call if you like. Just letting a few more people in that are hanging out. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. All right. Yeah, and the audience is just rolling in. Great to see so many people joining us today in this sort of mid-holiday nebulous area here between Christmas and New Year's. It's fun to have people showing up. I know you could be spending time with family or doing something else, so appreciate your time. All right, let's intro the show here. This is the Piano Tech Radio Hour. So what we do here is we meet every week to meet with and learn from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano and music world. This could include some manufacturers, rebuilders, musicians, makers of other instruments, and of course, piano techs. Our mutual goal is to become better at our craft, to help each other, and to create an ever more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And you can also subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour, this show, for just $16 a month. You get direct access to each week's private Zoom call, archival recordings of over 200 episodes in our member area. You can join Piano Tech Radio Hour at bit.ly/joinptrh. That's bit.ly/joinptrh. And just a couple other things to mention here. We do have the podcast that comes out audio only. You can find that at pianotechradio.com. Great for, working in the shop, driving around, doing some dishes, lifting some weights, going for a run, whatever. And then we have a blog at Substack, pianotechniciansmasterclass.substack.com, where you can find very valuable information about pianos. Might be something interesting about their history or their, voicing, regulation, concert prep, stuff like that. And we're on almost all the socials that are important there: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And so we'll see you there. You can watch for updates at that time. All right, let's intro our lovely guest for the day. His name is Josh Parker, and he's a professional guitarist, educator, composer, and audio engineer. He's based in Louisville, Kentucky. He holds advanced degrees in jazz guitar performance and is a faculty member at Campbellsville University, where he mentors students and performs with other jazz ensembles. His career highlights include being a featured soloist at the Kentucky Music Education Association Conference and performing at the Jazz Education Network Conference. Josh's unique blend of musical expertise and technical skills as an audio engineer has made him a sought-after artist and educator. Join us in welcoming Josh Parker. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for that
Good.
wonderful intro.
Yeah, you did all the stuff. I just read about it. I just write it up and read it. I've done so many different sort of podcast type shows, and I love reading people's intros, and then they're like, "Hey, that's me." Nice.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't get a chance to recognize your own accomplishments very often. So, how was your holiday, by the way?
It was pretty good. Uh,
Yeah?
so the family, as you can probably hear my voice, again, everybody listening, I apologize for any sniffles and stuff. We've all been having the crud, as we call it around here.
Oh, passing something
Uh,
around.
but luckily, everybody's getting over it now, and we had a good Christmas, and everything went well. How was yours?
It was pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Good.
Big family stuff. My wife's family, big family, so lots of
Yeah.
cookies. Too many cookies.
Never enough cookies.
Too many cookies. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I get in that mode where it's just like, oh, let's have another cookie. Yeah, let's have another. Let's have another cookie. And it's literally like right after you take one, put it in my mouth, and I'm like, and then I'll wait a
Uh,
minute, and I'll have another one in about 10 minutes. No, you know what? Right now.
yeah.
Did you get anything? Are you musical during the holidays? Do you have like some people families they get around and they play Christmas carols. Some people are like, yeah, we just play some music in the background, some Sinatra or something. Do you do anything musical during the holidays?
Surprisingly, no. Uh, if the kids get into it, then yes, a little bit, but just as a tradition, no, we don't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, we
Um,
we we don't really too much either. And I kind of wish I have the fantasies of all gathering around the piano and singing Christmas carols or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
People don't have the patience for that these days, I guess. Um, I haven't. Oh, I did want to share though, just on this topic. What I did is I got really obsessed with playing Jingle Bells,
Yeah,
and I would play it in. I would just sit down and pick a key, and then just play through Jingle Bells, and whatever kind of came out under my fingers for that particular arrangement, I would play it.
yeah.
And I was surprised at like the fun stuff you could come up with in it. It almost has like a bluesy feel. You can make it like a bluesy feel
You
if you
can, yeah,
want,
yeah.
because it's just kind of like the 1 4 5 1 type of chords, and
Hmm.
uh that was fun because I hadn't really played like Jingle Bells as a blues before, and it was fun. All right, anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so that's the one thing I really enjoy about a lot of these Christmas tunes is that are like Jingle Bells. You can take them in a lot of different directions, and it still be the song everybody recognizes, but you can have a lot of fun underneath of it with the harmony going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the last thing I did this morning, since we're talking about jazz, I did like you know jingle bells. Like, okay, there's those 3 notes, right? Well, but
Hmm.
you can make that like a 2 5 1 progression, for
You
example.
can,
So
yeah,
I was like 2 5 1, 2 5 1, and then you could do like the flat 7 on the whatever you call it, the tonic chord to go into the 4. And I don't
uh-huh.
know. It's There's all kinds
Yeah,
of fun stuff.
yeah.
All right, we're getting a little bit nerdy here. All right, let's go back to your introduction. I want to hear about where you're coming from here. Where did you first get involved in music? How did that switch get turned on for you?
Sure. My earliest memories and from pictures that I've seen of me with musical equipment anyway was when I was really young, like maybe 3 or 4. My grandmother had a little toy guitar that I would carry around everywhere.
Oh, nice.
Um, and my dad is a drummer and was a music major or drum major in college. So I have pictures of me banging on pots and pans and on his like rototoms and all kinds of stuff
Nice.
from that. So I grew up in a somewhat musical family, so it was always around me. Um, for whatever reason, I connected to the guitar, and I'm the only one that really plays guitar or really does much professionally, musically anymore in the family. Um, but years went by, and I never really touched the instrument, and it's probably 11 or 12 whenever I really started getting the itch to play
Hmm.
the instrument, but I didn't ever have the courage to ask my parents for an instrument or I don't know. I was just always shy about it. But whenever I was 15, 14, 15, I finally got one. Actually bought a guitar I remember for $50 off a friend of mine when I was 15. And that was kind of my first guitar that I say was my own anyway. Um, and whatever reason, I just always connected to it. And I have the same oh my gosh, mentality is what I'm
Hmm.
trying to think of as guitarist Pat Martino. He always describes the instrument as his favorite toy, and
Ah, yeah.
for me, that is exactly how
Oh,
I
nice.
think about it. It's always been there, and it's always been my favorite thing to play with. Even before I did it professionally, I would hold myself up in my room and just go play. I didn't know what I was playing, but I
Hmm.
would just experiment and figure it out. Um,
Now,
and
was that first guitar an electric guitar or
it
an
was,
acoustic?
yeah, yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I started on electric. I still play electric all the time. This is the nylon classical guitar has actually been the most recent addition, I guess, or
Okay,
fascination
nice.
with it. But yeah, I still play electric all the time. Um, and my dad, whenever I first got it and got to where I could play some tunes, he was a big rock guy, so we would always
Nice.
just play rock songs together, like '80s rock and metal and Metallica and like all that kind of stuff,
Awesome.
as high schoolers do.
Smoke on the Water. That was
Yeah,
like the, I don't know
yeah,
if that's an 80s song, but I just remember growing up in the 80s, that was like, you can play Smoke on the Water. That was kind of like the
yeah,
introduction to
yeah,
the
yeah.
guitar.
But for the longest time, it was just me and him playing just guitar and drums,
Nice.
and he was. I really give him a lot of credit as far as my beginnings go, as far as inspiration and just
Hmm.
the steady push to improve and get more interested in music. He never really forced it on me by any means, but he was just always there and really supportive with everything. So it
Yeah,
really helped a lot.
that's great.
Um,
All right. Have you heard of the Loog guitar?
Lug guitar?
Yeah. I
No.
don't usually get up during this session, but I have to go get this thing and show it to you. I'll be really back. Bear with
Okay.
me, everybody. I'm going to show you guys this thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just
I
got this
do
for my,
recognize those.
you
Yes.
recognize this? I just got
Yeah.
this for my 7-year old. So it's only got 3 strings on it,
Uh huh.
but it's specifically designed to teach, let kids learn guitar on like an easy
Yeah.
instrument, It's got like a built-in speaker and like you don't need an amp, so oh wait, let me turn here's the musician sound. You can hear it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fun. It's just this cute little thing. Anyways,
I haven't
uh
looked into those. I'll have to look into those. My kids have got little ukuleles that they've pulled around and little like the pan drums. Oh, I have to
yeah, the
get
fun
them
thing
going
about
here
it
soon too.
Yeah, the fun thing about it is like yeah, there's 3 strings and it's basically the top 3 strings on a guitar.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they're learning the real guitar, right? But
Yeah.
they don't have to get overwhelmed by all the other strings. And then you can get chords, so you can get 3-note chords, just
Yeah.
on one instrument. And they have like this whole video series where they've got like these puppets like that play along with you, and
Oh,
you can
okay.
do these
Cool.
little things on the apps. Anyway, well, that's a wonderful story. How did you know how, like, when did you go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be my career.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this my whole life.
That's a good question. Like I said, when I first picked the instrument up, for whatever reason, I just connected to it, and that's all I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Uh, I was also a really avid bowler, like American
Oh,
bowling.
yeah, I did some bowling as a kid
Uh,
too. That's fun.
that was my other big passion at the time, and I actually, whenever I got to college, I was on the bowling team
Oh, wow.
briefly, but
Yeah.
I had to make a decision there between bowling and music because I could only do one, and I'm the type of person where if I'm gonna devote my time to something, I'm gonna go all in with it,
Hmm.
and not just a little bit. Like I'm really gonna go there.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably better for your love life with the guitar than the bowling. Although
yeah,
I don't know what it's like. I don't know what the top bowlers pull in as far as,
but
romance, but
uh, financially, I think it was a better decision
better
too.
decision as well. Yeah.
But uh, anyways, I think that like around my college time was probably whenever I really decided that this is really what I want to try to do with my life. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. I just knew I wanted to play the instrument. Um, and whenever I went to college, I was kind of an oddball with it because I wasn't included in band or anything like that in high school. Because I mean, guitar is not really a band instrument very often.
Right.
And I grew
Sometimes
up
you
in
do
a
like the
small town.
orchestra pit in for like a musical or something.
Yeah,
That's about as far as they'll go.
as I did do a lot of musicals,
You did.
not in high school, but in college and later. But they're always a lot of fun. Uh, but in high school, I grew up in a small town, and there wasn't any teachers or anybody there, so I was predominantly self taught outside of what my friends showed me that also played. Um, Up and up till college, and because of that, I really developed my ear very well.
Mm,
This was before YouTube and all that stuff was really big, and
sure.
uh, so I just had records, and I would put them on and just figure them out and play along with all my favorite songs. Or my dad and I would just jam and improvise stuff, which I think that was a natural transition to jazz for me because jazz is so heavy in improvisation that it wasn't anything new. Is I was already doing it a lot. It's just a transition from the rock stuff to more of the traditional jazz language, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry if you can hear a cat in the
I
background.
did hear a little cat in the
So
background.
he's locked outside and he's not happy right now.
Poor kid. Poor little one. Um, there's probably something. Does he have his like scratching post in that room or something?
No, he does it out in the hallway. Yeah,
Just
but
lonely. Just lonely.
yeah, he loves to be the center of attention.
They do. They really like that. But you're the center of attention today, Josh. On that note, also another pun. Wow. Congratulations, Ethan. That was accidental. On that note, would you mind playing a little something? Like, I would
Sure,
love to
sure.
hear you. I know you got your guitar sitting right on your lap there. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Any
Well,
ideas?
yeah. So I'll play a tune called "Home" that I wrote a few years ago. Just the backstory of this is back when COVID came on, I wanted to do an album of some kind since I had more time and write songs of what home meant to me. So I grew up on a horse farm in the middle of Kentucky.
Mm.
So there's a little bit of Americana, like we were discussing earlier, in it, but also heavy jazz influence. And being Kentucky is like it's got to be in the key of G, and it's got to have some kind of G run in there because we have bluegrass music all over the place.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of influence with that, but then again with more modern jazz stuff. So I'll play a little bit of that.
Thank you. Nice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, very like you seamlessly fused a lot of elements there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw
yeah,
that. Check that out. Yeah, and it's almost like it's a home. Well, you take a little journey out
yeah,
throughout the world, and you
yeah.
come back.
So the more that I go into music, especially as the more I start writing stuff, the more influences I've been exposed to, but also just draw from everywhere. Uh, Especially in uh, I guess my graduate studies is where it really started, uh, being introduced to international students. So like I went to the University of Louisville for my graduate or my master's, and they had a lot of Brazilian foreign exchange students
Hmm.
there. Uh, so I was introduced to a lot of Brazilian music at that time, and now at Campbellsville, where I teach at, 2/3 or excuse me, 2/4 of the or half of the faculty jazz combo is Brazilian, and plus our dean is Brazilian, so we get Brazilian music all the time
Oh
there
wow,
too. Uh, so there's a lot of that style of music coming out in it too. So it's just a big amalgamation of all kinds of stuff anymore.
wonderful. Does anybody do any capoeira around there?
Not very much, no.
Okay. This is
Uh,
something I've gotten into in my son does some classes in it. But
yeah,
what I love about it is it's a martial art, but it's
uh huh,
musical too. Like they have songs that you sing and
yeah,
instruments that you play, and
yeah.
so
I
yeah.
know that a couple people do like jujitsu and
Hmm.
there's a few others. So a friend of mine is really big into martial arts, and he would be killing me right now because I can't think of the names of them. Uh, but no, not that one. So I don't know anybody that does that one.
Be careful with the
Uh,
martial artist killing you.
yeah,
Happen pretty quick.
yeah, no kid.
um, yeah, no problem. But yeah, if you get a chance, like just go to Spotify and look up like capoeira music,
Hmm.
and there's some really cool songs there. Um, in addition, it's like that Brazilian culture, but it's different than the what is it, samba, right? It's typically
Yeah.
coming.
Hmm.
And it's funny because it's not like the musicality of it is much more organic, like
Yeah.
the instruments aren't tuned very, delicately, and people sing and they're not singing particularly, I mean, you can have someone singing in tune, but it doesn't seem to be like the major crux of it. The
Hmm.
rhythms sometimes can be a little bit loose, and they're not like writing them out on a notation or something like that. But it's
Yeah.
it's really beautiful,
It's
cultural.
just like bluegrass music here in old time Eastern
Hmm.
Kentucky music.
Yeah.
Actually, my brother in law is a fiddle player, and he also sings in a bluegrass band, like or old time band, and I relate to that that a lot. So,
Yeah.
but I think that kind of out of tuneness is and not being perfect is what gives it that quality that everybody loves so much about it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's something I've encountered as a piano technician. In fact, Justice, who's here helping out on the show, and behind the scenes here, she's been, started tuning pianos with us. But like me, she grew up with kind of like a spinet piano that sometimes was out of tune and a little bit,
Yeah,
wonky. And of course, it's nice to be able to tune it up and make it sound good, but you almost gain an appreciation for the music that can come out of almost any instrument, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you almost go like, well, what does it really mean to tune this thing? Because I like the way it sounded when it was a little bit
yeah.
out of tune. But yeah, I totally get that. Um, so tell me more about being an educator. What's your
Sure.
approach? Is it more you know, I guess you teach lessons weekly or not, or maybe you teach classes or a little bit of both? Or what's your life as an educator like?
Yeah, I started a long time ago just teaching lessons. My guitar teacher at the time kind of put started me down that path and asked me if I was interested in it. And he had a student that was looking for lessons. Um, and it started just privately teaching anywhere from like ages 5 years to 85. Like you could really cover anybody. And it always, at least my private lessons, I always tried to focus them on whatever the students were interested in. So it wasn't like, okay, you've got to learn this repertoire, this scale, blah, blah, blah. No, what are you interested in? Let's see if we can progress that a little bit further and
Hmm.
get you where you want to go. Um, then I still do private teaching now here in Louisville. But my shift to higher education with Campbellsville University really has only been the past few years. I started in 2022 doing that, and that has been kind of my dream as far as a job goes, if you will,
Yeah.
uh, to do. And with college stuff, I teach more of a curriculum where I'm not trying to train them into a jazz musician necessarily, but it's we study a lot of jazz, but also a little bit of classical music. And um, most of the students kind of had the same background, at least around here, that I did. Their rock playing is really good, and usually their chops are pretty well, but they just don't know how to focus it. So we focus on everything and learn better technique and focus on all that kind of stuff. Um, but it's become my passion a lot here recently as far as higher education goes. So I
Hmm.
teach lessons. I teach ensembles or direct ensembles, excuse me. So with combos and then the full jazz ensemble here this past semester, that was a lot of fun. I was still pretty green with the full band, but it's a learning experience both for me and them. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Uh, but then I also teach a little bit of music technology and like recording and um, notation software and like all that kind of stuff too.
What kind of tunes did you guys work on for the ensemble, the jazz ensemble?
Uh, Both some old time swing stuff, so like some Duke Ellington stuff or Benny Goodman and like the old 20s and 30s swing. Then we also at Campbellsville we have a big Christmas concert at the end of the semester, so we were doing a bunch of Christmas jazz for the full
Nice.
big band, and it
Nice.
was a lot of fun.
Very
Um,
cool.
but so we cover everything from the traditional stuff to more modern stuff too at Campbellsville. Which I really enjoy that because a lot of my schooling was very traditional, and then you get up to about the 60s or early 70s, and then there's a hard cut, and you don't really go past that. It's like that's modern jazz for a lot of education stuff where
Oh yeah.
we actually try to incorporate what's going on now
Hmm.
and bring it all the way up to present time.
Wonderful. You mentioned Pat Martino earlier, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Is he one of your favorites
yeah.
or?
Pat was my favorite guitarist for the longest time. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him before he passed away, but
Mm,
or hear him play live. He came around here one time, and I'm very upset about it. I was busy and I couldn't go to it that night.
yeah.
Um, he came up. I think it was Indiana. He came up to the Jazz Kitchen, or I think it was there, uh, but I just wasn't able to go to the show. And uh, but yeah, I loved Martino's playing and his story. Both as I don't know how deep you know about his story, but
A little bit. Yeah. I never got to watch the docu. There's a documentary I'd really like to watch. Did you ever watch
yeah,
that?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Gotta see that. Yeah, I
Uh,
gotta see that.
Basically, for those that don't know, he had a brain aneurysm in I think it was the mid 70s, and he had total amnesia and forgot how to basically everything. So he could still play, but he didn't know why he could play, and like it was, I can only imagine what he would have went through. But he relearned how to play and retaught himself everything, and then later it came back, and his memory came back, and he went on from there. But uh, I don't know, it's very inspirational.
Yeah.
One, but I just love his phrasing and his mentality of the instrument. He was one of the first jazz guitarists that I really connected with.
Hmm. Yeah, I really like Pat Martino as well. I did meet him one time, and I have my own regrets because gosh, man, this was a while ago, 15 years ago, maybe. Yeah, a little while ago. And I saw him at the Iridium in New York City, and he played some sets, and I think he was just sitting at the bar or something. And I could just, I was a kid. When you're at that age, you're like talking to somebody like that. It's like, even when you're an adult, like
Yeah, yeah. I was like,
even
even now.
older, it's still kind of like intimidating. He's very friendly, and I remember we were talking about music, and somehow this idea that maybe I could have a lesson came up. I'm a piano player, so I was a little bit confused as to whether that how we would have a lesson. But of course, he's a he's a musician generally. He has a lot of things to share. And he
Yeah.
gave me his card. He said, "Yeah, I'll give you a lesson sometime." And I remember that card just sat in the book. I was like, I can't call that guy. I can't call Pat Martino and actually have a lesson with him. And it's like
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point, it was like, what are you here? Like, you gave you his card. Of course, you can call him and get a lesson. Like, what's the? But yeah, I never got to follow up with that. But yeah, I'm also a
Oh
big
man.
fan of Pat Martino.
Yeah.
Great player. Great player.
Yeah.
How about a pianist? Who do you like?
Yeah. Pianist. My favorite's Oscar Peterson.
Oh yeah.
But there's so many out there now that I really, really enjoy. But Oscar is like anytime I see him, especially like with his trios and stuff, is like if I need some kind of inspiration to play, I'll either go to Pat or I'll go to him, and it'll just instantly like there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. They're very different in
Yeah,
terms of their style. Like Pat's kind of more like he's got that sort of funky style that comes in, and it's a little bit more modern. And what did you just say? The piano player, Oscar Peterson.
yeah, Oscar
Oscar
Peterson. Yeah.
Peterson. Of course, it's almost kind of like a classic type of style for piano.
Uh
It's,
huh.
it's got this very like sort of polished type of thing. But I would say there is some a common thread in
Yeah.
that when they're both of them when they're playing, especially fast, it just flows out like it's like water from a faucet, and it's
Yeah.
got this very light, kind of lifting feeling
Yeah.
both of those players can accomplish.
Uh,
Very
the
signature.
as far as pianists goes, that Oscar was probably the biggest inspiration as far as a player goes.
Hmm.
Um, I really enjoy Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn's music, though,
Mm.
but as a compositionally, I guess,
Yeah.
uh, is that he's probably or both of those two guys are probably my favorite from a composition standpoint, but from a performance standpoint, it's definitely Oscar. Um,
Now, was
or
it?
the
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like we talked about you maybe playing. Is that a Strayhorn tune, Lush Life, or
Lush
what is
Life,
that?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a Strayhorn tune. Um, before so I can play a little bit of that too, but
Yeah, I would love to.
before that, when I was in my master's, I was fortunate enough to have a Duke Ellington course. So we is the whole
Wow,
course, the whole semester was just about Duke Ellington,
amazing.
and Billy's, I believe, is his nephew or great nephew, one came in to the class and talked about Billy and his foundation and everything. I actually have a book here that I got from that class, just
Wait a second,
on
just let me spotlight it for a second. Yeah, go ahead. Strayhorn. What's the subtitle there?
an illustrated life. So
An Illustrated
it's
Life. Nice.
just all about Billy's life and about his compositions and kind of the backstories of a bunch of stuff. I'm not gonna be able to put it back up there now. Um, but as he came in, and I got this book from his nephew because I was able to answer the question that
Oh,
he
nice.
uh,
Little giveaway.
yeah, that kind of thing. But it came up.
Do you remember the
It
question?
I
Was it like
don't.
a trivia piece?
It was something we were talking about lately
Okay.
in the class, and he asked us what it was, and I can't remember what the question was now. It was so long ago. Uh, but anyway, I answered it right, and he gave me the book, and it's got some of like Billy's handwritten notes and compositions and stuff in it, and it worked out really well because I had to write an essay later in or a paper later in the semester, and I got to use that book for references and all kinds of stuff from it. But it really deepened my love of his compositional style and just tunes in general. But Lush Life, I've always really enjoyed more than a lot of them. But for me, Lush Life, it connects to the classical world a little bit more, at least how I approach it on the guitar, especially since I've gotten this guitar with 7th string. I don't know if anybody's counted. I have an extra string.
It seemed like a little bit extensive. Yeah.
that started one from my teacher. His name was Craig Wagner. He is a proficient 7th string player.
Yeah. Wow.
But also all the Brazilian guys use 7 strings in choro music and a lot of samba and everything down there. So I heard that sound. I was like, I've got to have that 7th string.
What is it? Sorry, just to be clear, what are the 7? Like, what's the 7th string? I'm assuming you have the normal 6 strings tuned normally, and then is it lower or higher? What's that last string doing?
A low A. So I have a. It's kind of like the 5th string, but it's tuned down an octave from there.
Oh,
so I have the normal guitar, the E, A, D, G, B, E, and then an extra low A.
Okay.
But the perk of that, I guess, is when you play a chord, for example, like this chord, that would be like a normal guitar, but now I can drop the bass down.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And have all these really lush voicings, which for Lush Life works really well. So I'll demonstrate that for you.
Oh, actually, no. First, we're going to do some Billy Strayhorn trivia questions.
Okay.
Via ChatGPT. So the answers sometimes it makes things up. So we may just be swimming in the swamp here. But
I'll try my best.
Let's do like an easy. It gave me intermediate, easy, and challenging questions. What would you like first? And we'll try at least one from each category.
Sure. Let's do the easy one first. Just to warm
one. Okay, first easy one. What famous jazz orchestra leader did Billy Strayhorn collaborate with for much of his career?
Oh, it was Duke Ellington. So that one is easy.
Bing, 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 bing. All right, good job. You want to go to intermediate?
Sure. Yeah.
Billy Strayhorn first met Duke Ellington in which U.S. city?
Ooh.
I don't know how anyone would know this.
I don't know if it was New York or somewhere around there.
It wasn't New York. What's your second guess?
My second guess would be Philly, but
all right. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh. Okay, yeah.
You're kind of in the right region.
Somewhere in that area, but I'm not sure.
All right, let's try it challenging. I know. Sorry to put you on the spot, but it's kind of fun.
That's okay.
And of course, the listeners and viewers at home can play along. What was the name? Actually, if you think you know in the audience, of course, we want to see if you can beat us to the punch. I have all the answers, which may or may not be true, by the way. So anyways, what was the name of the first musical Billy Strayhorn wrote in high school?
Oh. That I don't know.
Okay. Let me see if I can find. Let's try one more advanced. What Strayhorn composition was written in response to his feelings about life and race relations in America, described as a tone poem? I have all the answers. I can make anybody look like.
Yeah. I feel like I should know that one, but yeah.
Guesses? Guesses?
I guess maybe Passion Flower or
Blood Count.
Blood Count. Okay, that was going to be another guess too.
All right, you're off.
That's a good tune
off the hook
too.
There. You're up the.
Yeah,
you did get
sorry,
the easy
I need
right.
to refresh my Strayhorn knowledge.
I don't know that you do, and like I said, it's ChatGPT, so it may be making up its own answers. Maybe they did meet in New York. I mean, you know. All right, let's hear it. I want to hear the tune.
Sure.
Lush Life.
Lush Life.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I love that tune so much. I can't do it as good of justice as maybe a pianist could. You all can play such lush voicings with it. The seventh string definitely helps,
Yeah,
uh, but it's such a pretty tune.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of, I mean, it's like both, it's both like a difficult tune but it also plays itself in some ways,
It does, yeah,
because you're given a lot of these voicings to go with the notes and they change around so much,
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's a pleasure to play that tune as well as listen to it for sure. And who knows coming up with that? Yeah, it's just like such
yeah,
a uh creative experience and think that somebody would come up with that tune out of nowhere.
yeah. It's so contrasting. Like the first section of it is so just out of time, and I wish I knew all the lyrics, but I'm definitely not a singer, especially not today. Um, but like the melody of it, like it's so just lyrical, and
Mm.
uh, uh, if you play that in time, it sounds stale. So it's like it's really nice to kind of tug and pull or speed up a little bit with the music there and just let it flow naturally, and then bring in the time in the second section. Uh,
Can you give us an example actually? Can you play it in time? I don't even know
sure,
if you
sure, yeah.
can, but yeah.
Uh, Sorry. What am I doing? Come on, Josh. Yeah, you put me on the spot now. So 1, 2, 3.
You can just play the melody too. Oh yeah. Oh
Well,
yeah.
it doesn't work whenever you put it. Uh, like it really needs that
Yeah,
pull
it
and
almost
tug.
sounds hokey
It
when you put
does.
it in time,
Yeah,
when you actually make it.
especially that ascending part. If you do it really
Yeah.
metronomically, it just doesn't work out well.
Yeah,
Uh, so
interesting.
that tune for me was a very good learning experience as far as arranging that, but also just that tug and on the time and playing in a rubato way, but making it sound musical. Or jazz ballads in general are really good about that usually, but especially this tune.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for sharing it. It sounded beautiful. Tell us I think we'll try to fit in one more tune, but maybe a couple questions before that, and then
Okay.
we'll start to wrap it up. Um, I know you've been doing some things on YouTube.
Hmm.
How's that been going for you? Do you have any goals? You're just kind of like getting started with it. What's been your approach there?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's grown a lot. I started it back around COVID, just as something to do and fill time, uh, as an experiment, I guess more than anything. Um, but as it progressed, I started trying to take it a little bit more serious and add more regular content to it. The goal for it right now is to be more of an educational platform
Mm.
and have like mini lessons or demonstrations of things or whatever the topic is. Um,
Seems like what's funny is like the most maybe both frustrating and simple thing about what these YouTube, because we've had a few people, YouTubers on who are doing this stuff. With someone like yourself or some of our other guests, you have all this advanced knowledge to share.
yeah,
You want to go like, oh, here's how to create some crazy voicings for such and such a tune, right? And just by the nature of the way the world is, people want you to go, here's how you play a C major scale.
Yeah,
And that's where you get a lot of the feedback. You're like, but wait, I have all these really cool things to share.
yeah. I guess a frustration for me with it is I can't make the video very long to retain the audience's interest.
Hmm.
Uh, so I can't treat it like I would a normal lesson, which
Right.
is what I tried to do at first, and it just didn't work.
Hmm.
Um, so it's got to be catchy, and it's like, here's like 5 ways to quickly do a 2-5-1 or something like that,
Hmm.
and or like, here, play this scale, and it was like, learn this fingering or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and my background anyway, or my mentality with it is I wanted to be like a categorization of lessons, uh, and I just can't do that and retain a lot of the audience's attention anyway. So you kind of have to
Yep.
split it up.
Yep.
Uh, but it's been kind of on the back burner here lately. Uh, I have more that I want to do with it. I just haven't had the time to film everything and do it. Partially just because I've been traveling so much. That's been one of the perks with college teaching anyway, is
Mm.
we get to travel, and like we in the past spring we did a tour in the Dominican Republic
Wow.
playing jazz, and we actually took the whole big band down there, or jazz band
Whoa, that's
down there with us.
amazing.
So that was a great experience. And then we just got back from Texas last month, uh, flying out there and to play a few shows, and
Wow.
we have more in the future. And I play with a like I mentioned earlier with two of the faculty being Brazilian. They have a duo that we recently added the guitar to, so it's a trio, at least some of the time. And they have more plans of traveling. So I think we're going to maybe Delaware and sometime this spring, and like they want to go to Brazil and have all kinds of stuff going on down there.
That's awesome.
So getting to travel is fun, but at the same time, I was like, I need to learn how to budget my time to still make content and do all this stuff too. Uh,
Well,
but
when
that,
you travel, you can do a travel log. People like those types of
yeah,
things. Here's
yeah,
me in Brazil jamming out with the locals or something.
yeah. The other thing I did, or that's been eating up a lot of my time here recently, is I just composed a book. I don't know if I can really talk too much about it, but it's basically like all of my lesson stuff that I wanted to really discuss across educational platforms. I just put it in a book and published the
Hmm.
book, so it's
Oh,
out there now
wonderful.
too.
What's the title and where can we find it?
It's called Cultivating Potential, and is basically just my methodology for the learning the guitar. And it's on Amazon right now. It was just published at the beginning of December. I wish I had my copies of it. Amazon's been really slow about getting stuff to me lately, so I don't have a copy of it to show you.
Okay. That's great though. Well, we'll check it out.
Talking about the YouTube stuff, like the it all started maybe 20 years ago whenever I was first getting into college and learning all of this stuff, scales and chords and everything, music, and I couldn't mentally grasp it all without physically writing it down. So I just have notebooks and notebooks full of scale voicings or arpeggio voicings or chord voicings, and like 2-5-1 lines, and like how to put all this together. And I've been through so many different method books and things, and they all have their perks or downfalls, but none of them were really set up exactly for how I was looking for. So I've finally, I guess, just went ahead and published my own of collection of everything over the past 20 or so years.
Love it. Congrats on that. It's
Yeah, thank you.
it takes some significant effort to pull stuff like that together and put
It
it out
does.
there.
Yeah.
You can talk about it and dream about it for a long time without it ever happening. So congrats on that. Um, I did want to just touch upon, because I know you do some engineering stuff. Is
Mhm.
that how much of your time is into that? And are you recording for other people, or what do you do
Yeah.
there?
Uh, so well, it was before I was a music major in college. I did a audio engineering certification. My dad has a home studio that he built. That's probably again where it all started, or the fascination started. But I went and did this audio engineering certification and kind of learned the basics of how to do recording and live sound and what everything does, like how to use the equipment. And when I got into Morehead State University, which is where I did my undergrad, I worked as a engineer audio technician for them for the recital halls, and I would basically record all the performances and things like that. And worked with several churches throughout Kentucky, running sound and basically doing the same thing. I did a little bit of it with U of L as well, and then I do it at Campbellsville now as well too. But again, right after COVID hit, searching more of like online options of things is like I found that I can record remotely for people. So it's like there's recordings all over the world of people with my recordings of it. I just recorded it here at home and sent it out to them. I've recorded my own album here, which is the home, which is where that first tune came from. I've
Hmm.
recorded that here. And then I mix and edit audio for students or for people that are interested in it as well. Mix and master it and all of that.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
great skill to bring to the table.
but it's also been useful from a creator standpoint of like the YouTube stuff is like I know how to record everything and make it sound good.
Yes, we appreciate your facility with Zoom audio as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's like whenever I keep going back to that, but every time I had to do lessons, is like I need to figure out how to make it presentable for this student, and at least on my end, be clear so they can hear and get the sound of it. So it's not just okay, play this. Oh, did you get that? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it can be
was
so
your lesson. So I was
frustrating.
like, no, I need to make it where it's like you can hear it, and
Yeah,
it's like it sounds better.
you got a little reverb on there too, right?
I do,
With some
yeah,
effects. Yeah, that's
just a
nice.
little bit, you know.
Just a touch, just a touch. Yeah, it's cool. All right. We usually roll out about no, but I would love to, if you're willing, to have maybe one more tune before we run. Are
Sure,
you up
yeah,
for that? All
yeah.
right. What do you got?
So I'll go into the more Brazilian stuff since we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So this one's a samba that I wrote just right after I graduated, and I dedicated it to all my Brazilian friends, and because again they were such a big influence for me. But it's called Despedida, which in Portuguese means farewell. So it'll be a farewell to you all as
Oh,
well.
perfect.
So again, it's a Brazilian samba. So short form
All right.
with it
Yeah.
like that.
Nice. Thank you. Very, very nice.
Yeah, thank you all.
Absolutely. It's great to hear you play some and hear that wide variety of things you're bringing to the table. Very cool. All right. I suppose we should wrap up here. So I'll do our outro. But before we do so, any last minute thoughts or places you want to send people online or something like that? Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess if you're interested in anything that I'm doing, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Um, Instagram is probably the better place for musical content anyway. So it's at josh.parker.music. And if you're interested in jazz specifically, education material, I've got a lot on YouTube and Patreon and everything like that. My YouTube handle is Josh Parker Music. Um, and I should have a link tree. I think that has it all on there too. It's on my Instagram and everywhere else too. It's hard to remember everything, but
Yeah, Linktree helps.
yeah.
I think I found your book link. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay, here's something odd about the book is that when I search for it, it's like almost only showing up on like in like other country Amazons.
Oh,
So the
interesting.
Amazon US is not readily searching for me. I found it in Germany
Interesting.
and
So
and like I don't know if this is Australia or whatever. But yeah, anyways, look into that. And add the US link to your link tree. I think
yeah,
it looks
I'll
like a
do
cool
that.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I like the cover. This is the cover is
Yeah,
man,
it's a guy holding
yeah,
guitar like that. Yeah.
it looks very zen. I'll do a quick share so people can see what I'm talking about. Uh, Screen. There you go. There it is, right? That's it.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. Practical methodology for expanding guitarist tactical horizons and musicianship. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's US pricing was 1750, but
yeah.
so,
I
yeah.
don't even know what currency that is.
Yeah, so I don't either.
United Arab Emirates or something? I have no idea. But where'd the
Yeah,
image come from, by the way?
I actually created it with AI. So
I was
I
wondering if
don't use
that's where it
AI
came
very
from.
often, but that was one that worked out.
Yeah, no, that's I like that one. Awesome. All right, I'll outro us here. And Michael is would be interested in seeing a video about your take on capturing live acoustic audio. So
Yeah,
you've got a video request.
yeah,
Thanks for that, Michael.
I'll
Um,
have to do that.
awesome. All right, I'll outro us and then we'll see you on the flip side here. So thank you again for everyone who joined us in the Peanut Gallery here today as well. We have reached the end of another musical journey here at Piano Tech Radio Hour. Of course, thanks to Josh Parker for joining us as our guest. And as always, we're brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. For those of you that joined us today by signing up for this session individually, make your life more convenient. Why don't you subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour and give us some support? You'll get the recording of today's session in a member area and automatic registration for each week's new session. Sign up at bit.ly/join PTRH, bit.ly/join PTRH. And then, of course, make sure to check out the podcast, the Substack blog, and follow us on all the socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. All right. Well, Happy New Year. We won't see you until next year. And I hope you all have a great one. And thank you again for showing up to support us every week here. All right, guys.